I bet a curling rink would fucking kill it too. Like just in one of them shitty warehouses that are like closed down instead of the rock climbing gym.
I think you were wrong. I really think curling's had its chance and never really caught on.
You know where they have a curling rink is the Brookline Country Club.
Well, there you go. And that's hopping.
Yeah.
So that's like a license to print money right there.
Yeah. And Giselle Bundchen's yoga studio, you can see.
So do we want to start with Tom Brady being a liar?
Again, I thought we were going already.
I mean, we're going. But in terms of actual subject matter, do you want to start with Tom Brady being a liar?
I don't care. Let's just start talking.
It looks kind of bad, don't you think? Like 2 months later, he says he retires. Everyone gushes about him. He couldn't just say, I'm taking a little time to figure it out.
I don't think that's what happened. I don't think he officially retired. I think he was trying to force his way to San Francisco.
By officially retiring?
No, basically saying, like, I'm not coming back unless you trade me. He was probably saying trade me under the fucking wraps. And that's fine. They basically came out and said, if you play, you're playing for us. And then he'd play for him.
Yeah. And all of that would be fine. But then you just basically publicly say...
No. No matter what happens, Mike, no matter what happens, it's fine.
It's not.
Nothing could be more fine.
It's a douche move.
There's a war going on in the...
Oh, my... Okay, so
is it the Ukraine?
Yes.
The Ukraine.
There is a war.
And now you're worried about Tom...
Is your point that nothing matters other than the war? Because then that kind of defeats the whole point of the podcast.
Well, there's also climate change.
Is this a political podcast now?
Climate change still. The war is probably making climate change worse. That's why I don't like it.
Ah. All right. Well, you tell me what's important enough to talk about, Danny.
I don't know. This is the first time I've gotten out of bed this week. So depressed.
This is basically just treating Dan's crippling depression.
Yeah. Good. This shirt I now see is pink, but when I look down, I see gray.
Really?
That actually might be a vision problem, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, Paul, what does that look like to you?
Oh, my God. Paul's gray, too. You're gray.
This might be the most serious case of depression I've ever encountered.
It's Dick Van Dyke syndrome.
He was pretty happy.
Or Walter fuck.
Mitty.
No.
Walter Luck?
Don't you have no shame or whatever? Who the fuck was that guy?
I have no idea.
Good luck guy. Murrow. Edward Murrow?
Edward R. Murrow.
The fucking R what was throwing me off.
What does that have to do with gray and depression?
Yeah, not a lot of people know. It's actually Walter Rodney Dangerfield Murrow. Did you freeze or you just didn't like the joke?
No, I just didn't like the joke.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
Hey, you're welcome to fucking try to make one too.
I think I've caught your depression.
Actually, it turns to anger very quickly.
Apparently. Yeah, you came in hot this fucking week. Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't get my first
bag of pot since the Super Bowl.
Oh, that did it.
It really did. You got to take a couple weeks off with the weed. Like, how long has it been since you've smoked?
47 years.
You're going to get really high.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking about trying it for the first time.
Why the fuck wouldn't you?
Now that it's all legal, I'm afraid I'm going to like it too much. Like, I don't do things well in moderation. Yeah, so it's better for me to just not find out.
The mere fact that that's your attitude tells me that you're not gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, I've never done cocaine because I know for a fact I would kill myself with cocaine.
Yeah.
You know, whereas you're like, I might, there's no question with me whether or not I'd like it too much.
No, I would die with cocaine. I would absolutely do cocaine all the time.
Yeah. Well, you like, you have vices. You like to gamble, right?
No, I like to play poker. I don't enjoy gambling.
Oh, you don't sports gamble?
No, never.
No.
But that's kind of it, though. I acknowledge in my personality. I would get on like a heater or a cold streak, and I would not be able to stop. So I don't want to find out.
Yeah.
None of that.
I'm pretty good at poker. You ever play me in poker?
I think we played like twice live.
Yeah, I'm frustrating to play against. I often bet out of turn, and that's how I get people off their game.
Oh, that'll do it.
I see who else
is
has
that
a temper.
Is that in any way a conscious action, or it just happens?
That's what you got to let it flow. Be water, I say.
Yeah. There you go.
Me and Bruce Lee.
Someone else stole that idea from you too.
Fuck.
They stole Be Water. They stole the golf thing.
Yeah.
You need to patent that curling thing.
What curling? Oh, the curling rink? Yeah, the fucking golf thing got stolen already. I am upset about that.
Yeah. Don't let anyone take that from you. You need to invest every dollar you have in that curling rink. Just do it. Don't let anyone talk you out of it.
It's got to be something else. The inflatable batting cage was my best idea.
An inflatable batting cage? How would that work?
It's a bouncy pit, but instead of the pit, it's just a batting cage.
Uh-huh.
Then you set it up in a parking lot outside of an office or something like that, and people one day, I'll take some cuts. And then instead of having insurance when somebody gets hurt, just deflate the fucker, and you're on to the next town.
It's foolproof.
Depending on traffic, I suppose.
Yeah, and making sure that you don't have a cell phone so that people could actually track you.
Really, really shutting me down today, Mike.
I'm sorry. It's because you shut down my whole Tom Brady thing with the war, and now just become completely anti-Bulger.
You like the war?
A big fan of the war.
No, I guess
big fan.
When football's not happening, I don't like to hear about football. I like football to appear in September.
But today is the first day of free agency, and there's a ton of signings and all sorts of activity.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is I don't care. Like, I don't know any of these people. I don't know who's fucking good. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So they're just names to me. I don't even really like the NBA draft very much because I don't know who the hell they are.
I enjoy the draft very much. That's because they're full of promise. Anything can happen. It's a hopeful day.
It really is. That's why I think the NBA is my favorite one. It's because you're so close to being good even when you're bad.
I always feel that way about football, though, because you see teams go from like the worst team to the Super Bowl the next year, and that almost never happens in the NBA.
It never
Even
does.
when Cleveland got LeBron, it takes time.
But it's also if you don't have a quarterback, you're just not going to be good.
Yeah.
So basketball, at the very least, like, there's only 12 players on the team. Only 3 of them really matter. And then the next 500 guys are kind of as good as the next 500 guys. So if you get 3 good guys, you're pretty, I'd say of 31 teams, 32 teams, 30. Only like 2 of them.
Are we talking about the NBA?
Yeah. Only like 2 of them don't have at least 1.5 good players.
Yeah, but you can stumble into a huge star in the NFL much easier than you can in the NBA, I think.
Yes, that is true. It's very easy to end up in the middle of the NBA and never get out of it. But at least the middle is approachable. You don't end up with as many like New York Jets situations where there's like 0-16 teams.
That is true. That is true. No one's as bad in the NBA as the worst team is in the NFL.
Yeah, like even Memphis ended up with like Ja Morant.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Baseball seems impossible to become good if you suck.
Baseball is actually the easiest to become good at. It's just very profitable to be bad at baseball.
Yeah, like the Mariners haven't made the playoffs since what?
Yeah.
Griffey?
No, it's been more recent than Griffey because they made it the year
A-Rod?
Yeah, I know they made it the year they first got Ichiro, and A-Rod was gone because they made a big deal about how they set a record for regular season wins after A-Rod left.
Huh.
The thing about baseball, The thing about baseball is just people want to play money. Yeah. It's Seattle's nice, but it's really far away from everything else. When you play for a Seattle team, you travel more than any other place in the U.S., even in Toronto.
Yeah, but you're on. Who cares?
You're
traveling in style. I mean, it's not like you're fucking Bill Russell flying fucking with the luggage.
Oh. But in baseball, it's got the freest free agency. So you could really build a winner very quickly if you wanted to spend the money on it.
But only a couple of teams can do that.
They more could. They don't want to. Baseball has controlled the propaganda beautifully. Kansas City makes a shit ton of money, and they're owned by one of the Walmart people. But they've realized they can just keep saying, we're Kansas City, we're a small market. They can spend $80 million a year and just make a $50 million a year profit, no problem, every year, and they don't actually have to win anything. Which is one of the reasons, as much as people used to get pissed off at Steinbrenner, I respected it. That guy spent every dollar he made on trying to win.
Well, they made so much money.
Yeah. But he spent more than anybody else, too.
Yeah, but that Yes Network was huge, or is huge.
But he spent all the money before any of them had cable.
Yeah.
I mean, he started spending in the late 70s. There was no Yes Network. The Yankees made more, but not a ton more.
And he got to be played by Larry David, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's fucking great.
Yeah. My wife and I are rewatching Seinfeld on Netflix. And I realized I think I underappreciated that show. Like, I was one of the holdouts who just said, it's funny, but I don't know. None of them are that likable.
I think it's the funniest thing. I think it's the funniest thing in the history of comedy.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I liked it, but I didn't think it had aged as well as it has. It's really great still.
I don't think there's a movie as funny as Seinfeld.
Maybe. I still love Airplane.
Oh,
Airplane's still pretty great.
I'll take the 3 best Seinfelds against Airplane any day.
What are your 3 best Seinfelds?
This gets tough, but the one I always go to is the rock climbing one, where Kramer takes the.
We just watched that, with Dave Cortez. Yep.
The opera with Crazy Joe Davola. I always like the Crazy Joe Davola episodes. Yeah. And then the cake one is good with Elaine, where she flips out of the office for having the cake. Because that's my favorite line in the history of Seinfeld, is where she goes, "We're all unhappy. Do we have to be fat too?" She has the person like, that's a great thing to say. There's a lot of stuff you couldn't get away with today.
Sure, you could.
But all right, and then I'll go just off the top of my head where Kramer says "feeling good all the time," the accountant episode where he thinks the accountant's on cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Airplane, not nearly as good as Seinfeld. Airplane's, I guess I'd throw Spinal Tap against it.
Spinal Tap is great.
And maybe Caddyshack. And then maybe
Caddyshack, yeah.
Dumb and Dumber's too slapstick to beat Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And then The Holy Grail, but The Holy Grail is just ridiculous, and it's kind of doesn't hold up as well as Seinfeld.
I haven't seen The Holy Grail in years. I gotta rewatch that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say those are my top 4. And then weirdly, There Will Be Blood is my 5th favorite comedy.
I watch that whenever I need to pick me up.
It's funny.
I mean, has there ever been a funnier last line than "I'm finished"?
I'm finished. And then when he says we're building our church, and he says, "Oh, I certainly hope so. It was a hell of a show you put on back there." Whatever. He's just so dark. He's great. Yeah.
When he's gnawing on that leathery pork chop.
Yep.
I can't get past that. The whole time the guy's begging him for money. There's no meat left on that pork chop. He's gnawing at it. Gnawing away.
I like little things in serious movies like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what, in the movie Taken, when he kills everyone on the boat, someone was driving the boat. I wish they panned to that. I wish they panned to that guy just listening to the radio or something.
That guy's not innocent.
No.
It's not like he was like, I thought this was a family cruise.
He's just making his 20 an hour.
He saw drugged up women getting shackled up and brought on the boat. That guy I'm fine with him dying.
That guy probably wasn't even the worst behaved guy on that boat that day.
Probably not.
No.
Which is the argument that goes back to Clerks, which is, were there any innocent people who died on the Death Star?
That was really the best part of Clerks.
It really was.
Was that speech.
Clerks
it might be the only
great.
part that's still good.
Yeah. But that was an interesting philosophical argument. And I came down on the side of everyone knew what the Death Star was.
Clerks is like a 14-year-old's imagination of the way adults talk.
Yeah. Every movie of his that featured Dante was just Kevin Smith wish fulfillment. It was women talking about filthy things that they enjoyed and were cool with, and they all somehow wanted him no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he keeps threatening Clerks 3. And no one enjoyed Jay and Silent Bob nearly as much as Kevin Smith thinks they did.
I see. That's what I mean is 13-year-old Dan Bulger loved Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And I bet you if I watched it today, I would think it would be the worst movie ever made.
It would be up there.
Yeah.
By the way, Kevin Smith, I know you're a fan of the podcast, so don't take this personally. We're just shooting shit here. Please cast us in Clerks 3.
I think you stink.
You're not going to be allowed in Dan's curling rink. Take that, Kevin Smith.
Get out of my fucking curling rink.
You're going to be trapped in fucking Brookline, loser.
I get a curling rink.
It's your only other option.
Just fucking punk kids at the claw machine all day.
There's a claw machine at that rink?
Kids love a claw machine.
Do you call it a curling rink? Is it a rink?
I think it's a rink. Is it?
I was in Canada.
Do you not call it a curl? What do you call it?
I've never called it anything.
Oh, you think it might be a court?
It could be a court. It could be I think maybe just the ice, like the pitch in soccer.
Yeah, but it's
like, I'll see you on the ice.
It's a contained area, so I think it's going to be called something.
The arena? Is it ring?
Suck it.
All right, there you go. I didn't say you were wrong. I asked if you knew.
No, both you and Kevin Smith can suck my asshole.
All right. No, we're right there. In his movie, a beautiful woman will want to do it. A gorgeous woman will be dying to do that task.
Oh, and would she die? She would.
Yeah, and she'll die a horrible death.
Yeah.
It's an under.
I can see why they charge you for 2 plane tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be a beautiful woman.
Giantly expanded asshole.
Has he made a movie recently? He just does the podcast, right?
Huh? No,
Has
actually,
he made a movie?
The government said the country can't handle it.
No.
Not in these times.
That's what really caused all those deaths. Comic book men.
Oh yeah, the Celtics. Have you been watching the Celtics?
Yeah, I have. I can't believe they lost that game.
That was a foul at the end, I believe.
That was clearly a foul.
Or not reversible.
I've never seen that.
Or not reversible anyway.
The point of instant replay is to overturn egregious calls, not to have something where you watch it 10 times and go, you know what? I think maybe we should overturn that. If you're ever saying maybe, then you shouldn't.
Yeah. Also, if you look at, you know what they never look at on the replay and at
Clerks.
I never completely understood the whole Rasheed Wallace ball don't lie thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what he means is when a bad call happens, a guy misses the free throw. That's apparently what that means. But what the refs should be looking at on the replay is what the ball did. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good way to tell who touched it last.
Yeah.
Or if there was a foul. Smart threw up a complete like Tim Wakefield knuckleball, which you wouldn't do unless your release was fucked with.
No. Yeah.
So that's the easiest way to call that.
Yeah. I think someone on the Celtics made the refs mad during that game. Someone made them angry.
Yeah, that was brutal. But that game did confirm some concerns about the Celtics.
Such as?
Our guards can't shoot.
They're not the greatest shooters.
They're not even average.
Well, Jalen's playing guard. He can shoot.
I think of Jalen, or especially our finishing lineups have been Tatum at the 4, and then Jalen, and then Smart and White. But that's not good for shooting.
White's not the best shooter this year.
He's bad, and unfortunately, we have him this year. So that wasn't a great point there.
I was saying, there's evidence in the past that this won't last forever.
Yeah.
That this is a temporary
By that
thing.
logic, why wouldn't the Red Sox sign Satchel Paige?
Look, if Derek White had been retired for the 5 years before we traded for him, I would say it was absolutely a bad trade.
He's not a good shooter.
Okay.
And I actually think they're going to kind of miss Josh Richardson.
I like the upgrade from Richardson.
It's not an upgrade.
You don't think? At all?
No. The Celtics couldn't re-sign him. We didn't have the money to re-sign him. White's on a better deal. But I think Richardson's
we'd already
re-signed
Richardson. We had him for another year.
No,
we extended him in the offseason.
He's a free agent at the end of the year.
No, Josh Richardson got extended for an extra season. Josh Richardson is under contract for next year.
I kind of like Josh Richardson.
I never knew you were such a sucker for recency bias. Josh Richardson's been bad for 2 years, was good for a little while this year, and now you're a big fan.
If a boxer is being punched in the face, does he duck and weave, or does he blame the fucking recency bias?
That's the worst example I've ever heard in my life.
No,
what are you talking about?
It's not a recency bias. It's what's happening right now.
Yeah,
if you have a leak, moment. You don't say recency bias.
Happening. Now, if you're getting punched in the face, you are going to be hurt and less likely to be able to fight back. If you are shooting badly today, that doesn't mean you're going to shoot badly tomorrow.
Okay, but we're also at game, 60 of the season?
Yeah.
He's shooting like 30% for the year.
60 games, a very small sample size.
That is a large
in the
sample
grand
size.
scheme of things.
That is
in
almost,
the grand scheme of things.
That is almost the entire season.
There are basketball players that look like amazing shooters for half a season, which is essentially what 60 games is. Half to 2/3 of a season.
Okay, but this isn't one of those guys.
Are they now great? Are they now great shooters?
This isn't one of those guys. It's not like he was shooting 40% last year. He's not a good shooter. There's a reason he makes $14 million a year.
Hang on. He was high 30s last year. Historically. I got to check this out. I'll own it if I'm wrong on this. Derek White stats. I got to look this up.
ESPN. Did you watch the Bucks or the Nuggets in Philly last night?
I did.
That was awesome.
There've been a lot of good games lately. A lot of good games. Career stats. Did you watch the retirement ceremony on Sunday?
No, it's all up on YouTube now, though. I listened to some of it on the radio. Garnett threw a couple motherfuckers out there, which was fun.
Yeah, he did.
I'm glad Allen showed up.
Yeah, I was happy to see them make up.
Yeah, it's been long enough. I was
happy to see them make up. So he's been over 30% before this year. So what do you consider a good
over 30?
Good
that's bad. Anything under 33 is officially bad.
All right, he was over 33 for 2 seasons, and then he was in the low 30s for 2 seasons, and this season he's 30%.
Okay, so let's go with I was right and you are wrong. He's a bad shooter. He's not a bad player. He's just a bad shooter. And Marcus Smart, also a below average shooter for a guard. What I'm saying is I'd like one of our guards at least to be an above average shooter. I don't think that's too fucking much to ask.
I wouldn't hate it.
Yes. I mean, if you want to win, I like winning.
I enjoy winning as well.
Yeah.
Which the Celtics have been doing a lot of.
Which I give a lot of hope. I have hope for Pritchard becoming a good enough player that he can be in more at the end of games. Not this year, but the future. And then Grant Williams can shoot. So we have a path to becoming a better shooting team, but it's not this year.
We have good shooting power forwards from 3-point range and bad guards, which is not the way that usually goes.
Yes, but then we have Time Lord too. So if you have Time Lord, White, Smart on the court at the same time, you know.
It's not the best.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
Really was searching for a metaphor there. Couldn't come up with one. I still wouldn't be surprised if we didn't make it out of the first round, but I've had fun this season.
Well, the East is ridiculously deep. I mean, there's going to be some good teams that do not make it out of the first round in the East.
Oh, for sure. Possibly the number 1 seed.
Possible.
If they play Durant, Durant might just beat them, right?
This might be the first. Yeah. I mean, a team with Durant and Kyrie could beat anybody.
Just Durant.
Especially, they're probably gonna lift the vaccine mandate, so he'll be able to play all the games by the time the playoffs are around.
I don't know. You don't think the governor might get all fucking pissed at him now? Or that's a mayor's job, right?
Yeah, that's up to the mayor.
Oh, yeah. There must be a lot of confusion about that.
Yeah. About who is in charge of it?
The governor or the mayor. People calling the governor when you're looking for the mayor.
I think they just yell at whoever's closer.
Fair enough.
But Kyrie will be back. Yeah, I mean, this might be the first year that an 8 seed could win the title.
Has it ever happened before? No.
No, the Knicks got to the finals as an 8 seed.
Yeah. That was the strike year. That was a weird year. Well, this year's even weirder because there was still COVID-19.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a weird year, but you can also look at it and say, I can't remember the last time that 5 teams in a conference I thought had a legitimate chance at the finals. And I can look at the East and say, I think 5 teams have a legit shot.
In the early 2000s, when it was like Weber, young Dirk, Shaq.
Early 2000s, that Lakers team was so dominant. I mean, the Kings are the only team that really gave them a run. Dirk was great on his own, but those Mavericks teams in the early 2000s, they never really got close to beating the Lakers.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fuck me.
You pointed out that there were some really good teams there, but
I mean, in the 70s, there was never a repeat champion. So maybe in the 70s, didn't the Celtics, the last Russell team, I think they were like the 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the point is you have to go back a hell of a long way.
Yeah. And I don't think any of those years could point to 5 teams that could win. In the East, you can legitimately say Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Miami is the number 1 seed.
Nobody believes in them. Nobody thinks Miami will win.
They made the finals 2 seasons ago. And they added Kyle Lowry. I don't think it's impossible for them to make the finals. I really don't.
Apparently not, but it just doesn't seem right.
Yeah. It doesn't feel right, but they could do it.
I just don't know.
It depends on how. Yeah.
Although
what kind of odds you give
Jokic was so fucking good yet last night, but Embiid is so big that I just don't know if like Bam can play against Embiid.
I don't know.
Like I don't think they can play their small lineup against him.
I think Bam's pretty good against Embiid, though. I think historically he's played him decently on defense. So if he could just slow down Embiid, then you got Butler and you got Kyle Lowry, and that they really just have to handle Harden, who you can't super count on in the playoffs. So that's at least a coin flip if Philadelphia's taking on Miami. I guess.
It just doesn't seem right. Like
I
look at their roster. I'm like, well, why is Jimmy Butler suddenly like a get you to the finals guy? He never was that.
He doesn't feel that way, but they did get to the finals, and he was their best guy.
I don't believe in Chicago. I don't think DeMar DeRozan as your best player gets you to the NBA Finals in any year.
I don't believe in Chicago, but I think Miami could sneak in.
Okay, yeah, I think they're the same.
Teams can limit DeRozan when they just focus on him for a 7-game series.
I feel
Butler, if he's healthy, they can't.
Or
he does too many things well.
Or did DeRozan just get annihilated by LeBron? And he's better.
It might have just been LeBron.
Like, is there a world where DeRozan might have almost been as good as like Pierce?
Probably not.
If you look at their career stats and shit, they got the 1 seed a couple times in Toronto, which is not nothing.
Yeah. No.
And then LeBron just ate his shit every year.
But Pierce could shoot. I mean, that's the thing why you can always limit DeRozan. You couldn't limit Pierce because he could shoot from the outside and he could drive and score mid-range. DeRozan can't shoot.
But did the league limit DeRozan, or just LeBron personally limit? Like, if LeBron James were in the West, might DeRozan have snuck through one year?
It's possible. I mean, having to face LeBron,
then
obviously
you'd think
made
of
your
him the way
chances
you'd
hard.
think. Like, DeRozan might be as good as Jimmy Butler.
But Pierce faced LeBron, and they got through. I mean, it's not like Toronto was the only team that had to face LeBron.
Well,
I think the fact that DeRozan couldn't shoot made him
Pierce had
particularly
Kevin Garnett on his
LeBron.
team. Pierce had Kevin Garnett playing with him, which helped.
He did. DeRozan had Lowry playing with him. He had Marcus All, or not Marcus All,
fine.
but he had Lowry playing with him.
Your second worst argument of the day. You take Kyle Lowry at 37, and I'd get Kevin Garnett.
He wasn't 37 when he was playing DeMar DeRozan. When he was playing with DeMar DeRozan, he was 31.
That part you're right about. But currently they have him at 37. But
Recency
at any time, I'll take 1-year-old Kevin Garnett over Kyle Lowry.
I will happily take Kevin Garnett over Kyle Lowry. I'm not in any way saying Kevin Garnett is not a better player than Kyle Lowry, but it's not like DeMar DeRozan didn't play with talented guys. He was on good teams. And Pierce played better with him. Pierce played LeBron better even when he didn't have Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett on his team, because he could shoot, because LeBron had to make a choice about what he was going to do at any given time. LeBron always knew that he didn't have to defend DeMar DeRozan at the arc.
Pierce lucked out playing that LeBron team.
He played multiple LeBron teams.
Yeah,
and he was never as bad as DeMar.
The one time he won, he played that LeBron team, which might have been the worst roster I've ever seen in my fucking life.
But that's not the only time they beat LeBron.
With Garnett.
They beat him the next year, too, without Garnett.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shit, they did. Also the worst roster I've ever seen in my life.
They can't both be.
Insanely bad teams. They had Ben Wallace on that team. I didn't even remember he was playing then when I rewatched it.
I'm just saying, Paul Pierce, markedly better player than DeMar
Not only
DeRozan.
did they have Wally Szczerbiak, they were paying him.
Were they at that point? No, they weren't. They didn't have Cleveland They didn't have Szczerbiak still on Cleveland
when we beat him. Yeah, he was in the starting lineup.
No, because we had traded Szczerbiak to Seattle in the Ray Allen deal.
I will.
He was a part of that because he was going to be expiring the next year.
Szczerbiak played for Cleveland. I'm going to say
he did play for Cleveland, but I don't think that
Cleveland team had Wally Szczerbiak on it that we beat in 08.
All right, I'll look it up.
Oh, Paul's got this.
Paul.
He's clearly a better internet searcher than you. I feel like a third of the episode has been watching you type.
I'm sorry.
And then you could only find 1 year of information.
I found the rest of the years. I looked. I found them. And I reported them honestly, even though they did not help me.
Yeah. You got to go basketball reference. Basketball reference or nothing.
2007,
that's where
2008, 2008, 2009. Wally was.
Yeah. Boom. I don't know much.
So the year
but
after,
I know
he was traded to Seattle, but then Seattle dumped it to.
Okay, so he wasn't getting paid. I might have been wrong about that. Yeah. But the if I know one thing, it's the starting lineup of the mid 2000s Cleveland.
And so that would next. So I mean, the next 2 years when they beat the Cavaliers, Szczerbiak was not on that team.
He must have been retired by then. Yeah. His years on the Celtics might have been my least favorite years.
Those were not fun years.
It was brutal.
Those were dark days. Oof. Those are dark, dark days.
He brought the ladies out, though. Women found him very attractive. I always thought he kind of looked like if Dracula took roids.
I could see that.
Crazy eyebrows.
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta have some Dracula eyebrows
ridge.
yourself. You got a bushy eyebrow.
No, I trim. I keep it separated.
No, but the middle is a thick, frightening forest.
Really? All right, I'll do some
I'm not saying
manscaping.
that's a
I
bad
had no
thing.
idea. No, that's usually a compliment.
I have kind of a wispy Tom Petty eyebrow.
Yeah, I remember when I met my wife, I told her her hair looked like a frightening forest, and she was flattered.
Well, you don't seem very flattered.
Well, I mistakenly didn't think you meant it as a compliment. The way that you clearly did.
Are you worried that I'm trying to fuck you? That's the problem with doing podcasts on Zoom. You can't fuck your co-host.
I find that the benefit.
That's the benefit.
That's why we've been Zooming for months. I don't know if you realize this. I made up COVID just to keep
just
my
to get out of sexual harassment
safe. Yep, that's
you
what we do.
You could have just asked.
I tried.
You didn't have to kill hundreds of thousands of people.
Dude, I made it all up.
That was your Chinese
Network
weapons lab?
Me. That was mine.
Weapons.
Wuhan's not even a real place. I just knew you'd never bother to look it up. I knew you'd never Google it. You can't even Google stats. I knew you wouldn't look up countries in China.
What time is it where you are?
It's almost 3:30 here.
Oh, Central Mountain,
yeah. Yep. Crazy, huh? It's crazy how time passes.
What else did we? Oh, one last thing.
Mass.
Have you seen the Lakers show? You have.
Yes.
I'm all in on it.
Loved the first episode. Second episode was not quite as good.
Jerry West should sue.
I think it's accurate. I mean, truth is the ultimate defense against libel.
Yeah, but he's like 90. He must feel like shit. He's like 90 years old. He made it his whole life without people thinking he was a fucking psychopath. And now, it's almost like we couldn't have waited till he died before we said he was a fucking prick.
Unfortunately, you don't get to sue for people making you feel bad about yourselves, which is how you're going to avoid a lawsuit from me.
Yeah. What if that would be it should be a rule that if a guy was a piece of shit, that at his funeral, we wait until he dies to say, and we can all get together and say what we really thought of him.
So like a post-death roast?
A post-death fuck that guy. Instead of what's happening to Jerry West right now, which is right before he kicks the can, everybody knows he was a fucking prick.
His last memories
he was like the most respected dude.
Worst. Yeah.
People loved him.
Yeah.
He was the logo of the league. And he's like the most bitter asshole.
I'm watching the first two. And the thing is, Chick Hearn is really coming off worse than he is. Because they're making Chick Hearn look racist.
I'm sure Chick Hearn was racist. He was born in fucking 1910.
But my point is just, he's coming off worse. I would rather have someone make me look really angry than racist.
To give you an idea of how people, racist people were then, the Progressive Party president, Wilson, was the most racist person ever.
Yeah.
The liberals were racist. Wilson,
that was a tough hang.
Huh? Yeah, but he was less racist than the other guy.
Yeah, it was all degrees.
Yeah, but they were still very hot degrees.
But those were the 19 teens. I mean, we're talking about Chick Hearn in 1979.
Yes, but Chick Hearn was raised by those people.
Hey, so was I.
Yeah.
You get past it.
Not Woodrow and Edith Wilson.
My grandparents. I summered with them every year. They were lovely people.
How many first ladies can you name?
I don't know. Off the top, I'd say somewhere between 6 and 10.
I didn't even know there were that many presidents.
Yeah. Well, you got, what's her face? You got Melania, you got Joe, you got Michelle. Then before that, you got Laura Bush. Then you got Barbara Bush. You got Hillary Clinton, then Barbara Bush, then Nancy Reagan, then Rosalind Carter. Then you have, what's her face? Ford, who was addicted. So the Betty Ford Center, Betty Ford.
Oh, yeah.
You had Nixon's wife, Pat.
Oh, wow, you're killing me.
That, yeah, you had Lady Bird Johnson. Then you had Jackie Onassis Kennedy, and then before that, Mamie Eisenhower. Dude, I'm fucking, yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah, that, no. You really made up for fucking Derek White's shooting.
Bess Truman, and then before that, Eleanor Roosevelt. Yeah, I don't know Hoover. I don't know Hoover's wife. So I think that's as far back as I can get.
Well, all right. Mary Todd Lincoln.
Well, I knew that one. Yeah, Mary Todd Lincoln. You got Abigail Adams. Martha Washington.
Martha Washington. Which, you know, was the fucking open micers joke that George Washington had wooden teeth, which explains Martha's nickname, Old Splinter Pussy.
I haven't heard that one. I kind of saw that coming.
I think that might have been a Bill Hicks one.
Yeah, he was an American legend.
Real heady stuff.
I'm just going to say, yeah, you go back and listen to some of Bill Hicks' albums. He wasn't quite the genius that sometimes people represent him as.
I think he was good. He just released.
He was good.
When you think about how much stuff he released, and he was only 33 when he died.
Yeah.
That if anything, if his fault might have been too much of it was released.
Probably.
So if you put his best hour together, if a 33-year-old has one really good hour, that's pretty impressive.
That's not bad. That's a fair argument.
I've been doing comedy for 17 years, and I have maybe 12 minutes.
But the really good 12 minutes.
Very dense. Very densely packed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a rich 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. You got anything to plug? Where are you this weekend?
I don't know.
Okay. How'd the Cape go?
Oh, it was horrible driving. It was fucking awful. It was like a windy.
Oh yeah, it was snowy, right?
Windy blizzard. Horrible.
Ugh.
The seas were angry.
Did you get to stay overnight?
No. I got out of my car. I talked for 40 minutes, and I got back in my car, and I drove again.
That's a tough night.
It was okay. It was fine.
Thank God you made $2,000.
I listened to the Eddie Vedder album on the way. That was fun.
Was that any good?
Yeah, he's got a solo album.
Are they done, Pearl Jam, as a band?
With doing good music, yes.
Okay.
I mean, they tour and stuff, and it's still fun, but they haven't put out a good album since like 12 years.
Yeah. Man, Kevin Smith, Pearl Jam, we're never working in this town.
Oh, no, but they were good before that, and I said their concerts are good.
That's true. That's true. But I mean, we're insulting Bill Hicks. I mean, it's really, we're in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we're in trouble. We better hope neither of us get Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, or be in Pearl Jam.
Mm.
Equally as likely.
Right? Both.
At this point.
All right. Well, if you see any of us somewhere, either of us this weekend, or Paul, if you see Paul performing somewhere this weekend, also check him out. All right. I'm at King's on Sunday, if anyone cares to check that out.
I'll be there too. I'll be at King's on Sunday.
Bring my book.
Oh, I will. Yeah. Rebound.
Bring my book.
Yeah. I'll
Thank
do that.
You.
Very good.
All right.
Hey,
perfect.
We just have a podcast to remind each other of our debts.
You got to come out Sunday for Boston Centric live.
Cool. Oh, awesome.
There you go. All right. So I'll see you Sunday. All right. Bye, everybody.
Go Bees.